Okay, redone this video because we had some problems with the sound. I'm not sure what's gone on. I've rechecked the mic and everything currently seems to be working okay. So, females and PCT. Now, for a long time, we have generally regarded this as not being necessary. Females don't need PCT. This has come about because naturally through the menstrual cycle, female levels drop very, very low. And this happens periodically once a month. So basically what was happening, or what we thought was happening, was that when the next menstrual cycle round, it would pick off at the low level of hormones and just reboot everything. Would appear it's not happening. We've got more and more female users now, so we're getting more and more feedback and information. Now, the female system works very, very similar to the male. The hypothalamus produces GnRH, which stimulates the pituitary, which produces FSH and LH. They then have an interaction at the ovaries, which produce FSH is responsible for egg maturation, and LH is responsible for testosterone and estrogen production, well, hormones in general. However, only a quarter of female hormones are produced a quarter of testosterone for a female is produced in the ovaries. Another quarter is produced by the adrenal gland, and half of the female's test levels come from the conversion of hormone in selective tissue. But if obviously a hormone level is suppressed anyway, that's not going to happen. Like males, women will sense elevated levels of androgens or elevated levels of estrogen, and past a certain marker threshold, they will cause shutdown. Also, the ovaries produce inhibins. The ovaries themselves sense elevated levels of hormones and will call for shutdown. And the axes are very, very similar to that of a male. There is a direct link with the pituitary, and obviously there's the hypothalamus as well. Now, like I said, previously it's been thought females don't need PCT. However, I've been speaking to quite a lot of female users recently, and many of them are complaining of very low estrogen, feeling like shit, no libido, depression. A couple have even claimed that the depression has been to the point of not wanting to get out of bed. And when I asked why they didn't question this or think that this was requiring some sort of treatment, they said, well, in female circles, it's generally accepted that you go through this post-cycle. But if this was a male facing this, they'd be jumping up and down screaming that they are shut down. So, excuse me. So I'm like, well, you're obviously shut down. Managed to get some tests on a female that had just come off cycle, and testosterone production was 0.4, which medically below 0.15 if you're premenopausal is classed as androgen deficiency. And estrogen was incredibly low as well, about 26 or something. So she's obviously shut down. Now then I started looking at potential treatment, and I was speaking to a female coach that coaches a lot of females, and she said for no particular reason as such, but she had people on the past use Nolvadex. Just a short 3-week, 4-week stint, quite low dose, 20 mg, 15 mg, 10 mg, and then 5 mg. And she said that most of them reported that recovery was quicker and they didn't feel as shitty. But most women are saying it's at least 3 months before menstrual cycle return. More extreme cases are being seen 5 and 6 months. So, obviously muscle mass on a female generally is less than that than a male. But if their hormone levels are low, they're still going to be losing muscle mass. So they're not going to be retaining as much as they would do if their hormone levels were returning to normal. I then looked at the HCG diet because really I didn't have anything that was showing any evidence towards HCG use in females. One of the side effects of the HCG diet was virilization, elevated levels of testosterone. And another side effect was enlarged ovaries. So that got me thinking, if increases in LH can cause ovaries to enlarge, then could decreases in LH or an absence of LH cause ovaries to atrophy, similar to the testes do in males? Now, it seems logical that it could happen. I've only got evidence of the opposite. but it's something I want to look into. So I'm currently speaking to a gynecologist and to try and get a little bit more insight into treatments for various shutdown medical-based low hormone production for females. I have found some research on what they call androgen deficiency, and generally the treatment for that is DHEA. So I'm wanting to do some testing. I'm speaking to Medichecks to see if they can do the testing on DHEA levels, LH levels, FSH levels, estrogen levels, progesterone levels, and test levels post-cycle. And then I spoke to a few women that are willing to do some very low dose HCG and Novadex and see what happens there. Clomid is used in the treatment, but there are some downsides to Clomid use with hypersensitivity of the ovaries. So I need to do some more digging in there and make sure what the dosage parameters are, etc. But I am now of the firm belief that females do need PCT, and that it will be similar to males, just probably a lot lower dosages. Certain females I know have been shut down for 5-6 months. Obviously, easy way to tell a female shut down, no menstrual cycle. Most report 2 to 3 months, and like I said, some of the side effects and some of the symptoms have been quite severe, particularly from a mood point of view, motivation point of view, sexual desire, which is a big sign. Testosterone in females has a big impact on libido and a big impact on sexual desire and sexual sensation, apparently. So apparently a lot of women suffer from low androgens. They reckon somewhere in the region of about 40%, but the vast majority are just treated as being depressed because that's mainly what the symptoms show us. So I will continue to speak to the people that I can. Now, unfortunately, any sort of trial type thing I manage to do is going to be very ad hoc because I don't have the funding, I don't have the facilities, and I definitely don't have the people. But if there are any females that watch this channel, if you're willing to get involved, even if it's just a case of get testing done post-cycle and just forward the results on so we can have a look at what your levels actually look like, then I'd be greatly appreciated. But I think it's going to be a case of I'm only going to be working with maybe half a dozen to a dozen people, and so it's not going to be a good control group. It's not going to be very scientific at all, but at least it may give some indication as to what women can use in a case of severe issues when they're really struggling with mood and libido and general just coping. So that's it. Hopefully the sound on this one will be better. According to the peak meter it is, and hopefully you'll be able to hear it. And I'll be back with you on Monday with some more bollocks. Okay, so speak to you all soon.